Let's talk about it, folks. Interest rate being a liar. Right now, I have on the screen a $500,000 mortgage at a low rate, a $500,000 mortgage at a low rate of 3% for 30 years. But look, when we do the math, when the math is all said and done, this is what you're going to sign when you sit down to close. The bank wants you to pay $258,887.20 on this loan. How is it that a loan could be at 3% and they want you to pay back $258,887.20 on a 3% mortgage and you borrowed $500,000? Folks, let me ask you, does that look like 3% to you? Does $258,000 sound like 3% of $500,000? Is that deceptive? Do you think that's a lie? Do you think interest rate is lying to you right now when you see this and we start to ask good questions about it? Let me show you what's going on here. So what it will cause you to do, if you're not careful, you're going to negotiate the terms on a $500,000 house and end up paying $750,000 for it. Who wants to pay $750,000, $758,000 for a $500,000 house? The total interest paid as a percentage of principal is not 3%, it's 51.777%. All 3% mortgages, all of them, all 3% mortgages for 30 years are actually 51% mortgages.
Don,
Go
I
ahead.
think that's the part that most people don't understand. And they hear the fancy footwork of, oh, use other people's money, which is true because that's the way that we acquire the property, right? Take control of the property. And the interest rate is the only thing that we've been taught. But how the amortization schedule and what you're teaching is something that most people haven't seen nor understand. This is why it's important once you take possession is to figure out the cheapest way to be able to use the interest in order to pay something off. But this is the thing, it's really not 3%. And I think that's the challenge when people are having a hard time wrapping their mind around because that's the way that we were taught.
Exactly, Dawn. Exactly. So listen, folks, we're not done with this thing because we're not at 3% right now. Our mortgages are not at 3%. You see, when we stop to take a look at it, this $500,000, if we borrow it at 4% for 30 years, here's what the bank wants. All right. Here's what the bank wants. The bank wants $359,000 in interest on your 4% loan at $500,000. $359,000. That means that the total interest paid as a percentage of principal is 71.87%. 71%, not 4. Well, listen, we don't even have 4% loans right now. Look at 5%. 5% on $500,000. This is why I'm saying that interest rate is a liar. Okay, you have to really find out what's going on here and stop trying to get the best interest rate because interest rate doesn't matter. What matters is interest cost. And that's the truth of the matter. So the lie, interest rate, the truth, interest cost, and interest cost can be controlled. Oh my goodness, you're going to love this today. All right, for our 5% loan, look at this. $466,279. How is that 5%? Folks, that's 93%. The bank wants us to pay back almost as much in interest as we borrowed in principal. Now your $500,000 home is closing in on $1 million, $966,000. I know you don't want to pay $966,000 for a $500,000 home. I know you don't. But let's take a look at 6%. Listen, if you're fortunate, you might be able to get 6%. You might these days. Okay. So when they go there and they offer it to you, most people aren't getting 6%. Okay. At 6% loan, they want you to pay back more in interest than you borrowed in principal. $579,190. That makes it 115.838%. 115.838%. And they get to call it 6%. Folks, do you believe that when you hear interest rate, that most people want you to think that you're getting a deal? when you hear just interest rate and they gloss over interest cost. Oh my goodness. Well, folks, the interest rates now are 7%. 7%. That means on $500,000, here's what the bank wants. The bank wants $697,543.60. That's how much they want. That means the total interest paid as a percentage of principal is 139.5%. How in the world can banking get away with charging 139.5% on a loan and get to call it 7%? Can anybody tell me? Is anybody curious to know how that can be? But folks, you don't have to do that. So if we focus on interest rate, then we're going to make mistakes. If we focus on interest cost, we can do something about it.
But Don has some valuable information that can contribute to the quality of a person's life. And it only costs you a few dollars. It's his book. Why not get that?
I'm going to go through the P.I.L.L method myself with some of my investment properties. So I'm going to link up with Don, and then I'm going to sit down with him, show him my investment portfolio, and see how I can eliminate interest.